There was always noise in Dozier's compound. If it wasn't the sound of a child crying, it was the sharp tone of Ebele's voice echoing through the walls. But on this particular day, the quarrel was different. This time, the entire compound stood still to watch. Ebele, Dozier's second wife, had gathered her 6 children outside that morning. Their tiny feet pressed against the dusty ground as they stood in a straight line before her. Her face glowed with pride as she turned towards Agatha, the first wife. Agatha stood quietly beside the doorway, her wrapper neatly tied, her eyes tired and swollen. The humiliation had become a routine. Ebele smiled bitterly and said, Agatha, look where I count with your naked eyes. 6. 6 healthy lives I have given to Dozie. And you, how many? How many have you offered this man that took you in for over 11 good years? Let me show you something today. There is this particular cream I applied on my skin. Ebele bent down, wiped the cutter from her children's nose, one after another, and rubbed it on her body. With a twisted smile, she said, This is the most expensive cream in the world, Agatha, and only a mother can afford it. Her laughter broke through the air like thunder. The neighbors murmured quietly behind their curtains. Agatha fell to her knees. The tears she had been holding back finally escaped. She ran quickly to the backyard, her feet sinking into the mud. There, she fell to the ground and cried like a woman whose heart had been torn open. And while she cried, Ebele's laughter still echoed faintly from the front of the house. Agatha pressed her face to the soil, her entire body shaking. She cried until the sky turned dark. She cried until the wind grew cold. Her money, her beauty, her big show, none of it could comfort her. All she ever wanted was a child to call her own. And when the thunder rolled and rain began to fall, Agatha did not move. The water soaked her wrapper, but she stayed there, crying and trembling in the mud. Her tears mixed with the rain. Her voice faded, but her pain didn't. She cried until her body grew weak and sleep finally carried her away. When dawn came and rain stopped, Agatha was still lying there, quiet, pale and broken. As the first light of morning touched her face, she slowly opened her eyes, sat up, dusted her body, and walked into her house. Inside, she took a shower and changed into a clean dress. Then, she entered her kitchen, carried a basket, and carefully arranged a pile of healthy heavy yams inside it. She set the basket on her head and slowly walked out of the compound, without saying a word to anyone, not even the neighbors, nor the children watching from afar. Before that morning of mockery, life in Dozier's compound had not always been that way. Dozie and Agatha had once lived peacefully. They were known in the town as hard-working couple, simple, humble, and respectful. Dozie was a wealthy farmer. He owned large farmlands outside the town, and many men worked for him. Trucks loaded with yams and cassava often left his compound to different markets. People respected him not only for his money, but for his calmness and his good heart. Agatha, on her part, was a woman of skill. She was one of the finest tailors in town, a fashion designer known for selling beautiful fabrics. Her shop stood at the corner of the main market, bright and colorful. Women came from nearby towns to buy materials from her. She was loved, admired, and envied. But one thing was missing: a child. 7 years after their wedding, Agatha couldn't conceive. At first, Dozie stood by her, but as years went by, the pressure grew. Family members started whispering. Some openly complained that a wealthy man like Dozie shouldn't remain childless. One evening, Dozier's relatives called a family meeting. They spoke harshly, blaming Agatha for everything. In the end, they decided to bring another woman into the home. A woman they said would give the family a name. And that was how Ebele came. At first, Ebele pretended to be humble and respectful. She greeted everyone warmly and behaved like a younger sister to Agatha. Agatha accepted her without malice, believing that peace was better than bitterness. But things soon changed. After Ebele gave birth to her first child, everything in the house shifted. The family celebrated loudly. Drums, songs, and dancing filled the compound. Soon after, Ebele had her second child, then twins, and before long, she had 6 children for Dozie. The more her children grew, the prouder she became. She no longer respected Agatha or even allowed Dozie to spend time with her. The road to Agatha's mother's village was long and dusty. She walked slowly, her bare feet pressing into the red earth. A basket of yams balanced on her head. She walked slowly, her bare feet pressing into the red earth. A basket of yams balanced on her head. The sun burned softly through the clouds, and the sound of crickets filled the air. Her heart was heavy, but she did not stop walking. Every step carried the weight of her pain, her tears, her loneliness, her unanswered prayers. And when she finally reached the quiet village, the place felt frozen in time. The huts were old, the trees thick with silence. The only sound came from a woman's voice humming softly behind a fence compound. Agatha pushed the small wooden gate and stepped in. There, sitting on a low stool and breaking melon seeds into a tray, was Nkiru, her late mother's friend. Nkiru looked up slowly, her round face light up with surprise. Agatha, she said, blinking twice as if she could not believe her eyes. Agatha, my daughter, is this really you? How many years now? 11 years since you got married. How is your husband? How are the children? Agatha stood quietly. She wanted to answer, but her voice refused to come. Instead, tears gathered in her eyes. She sat down on a small bench beside Nkiru and began to cry. The old woman placed her hand gently on Agatha's shoulder. Agatha, you can always talk to me. What is it? Agatha's voice broke as she spoke. There are no children, Mama. That's why I came. Not even a child, Mama. Her tears fell freely now. I have prayed, I have tried, I have waited, but nothing. I have lived with shame. I wear it like a cloth to anywhere. Mama, please, tell me about my mother. She wiped her eyes with the edge of her wrapper. My mother died when I was small. I barely remember her face, but there is something she told me before she passed. Something that has never left my mind. She said, Agatha, don't let our lineage end with you. Whatever it takes, continue it. But how can I continue a lineage when I cannot even bear a child? Her voice trembled. Why did she say that to me? Why did she leave me with words I don't understand? And why can't she help me, even in death? Nkiru's face softened. She sighed deeply. Your mother, Agatha, she began slowly. Your mother went through a lot before you came into this world. Agatha lifted her head, eyes red and swollen. What do you mean? Your mother had 4 children before you. Nkiru said quietly. 4. All of them died, one after another. You were the only child who survived. Agatha lips parted in shock. She had 4 children? Yes, and your birth wasn't easy, Nkiru continued. You came after many years of sorrow and sacrifice. Your mother went through nights of fasting, tears, and shame, just like you, until she met an old man, a herbalist who helped her conceive. But that help came with a condition. A condition? Yes, my dear. The man told the mother that in your lineage, no woman will ever conceive except she returns to the same shrine. This is the way the bloodline was said. Every woman born from your mother's womb will only bear a child by returning to the same place, the same way she did. Agatha froze, confused and trembling. So you mean I can't have a child unless I go back to that shrine? That's exactly what I mean, Nkiru said, her tone firm but filled with pity. The womb of your lineage was tied to that source, Agatha. If you go back, you will conceive. But if you refuse, no doctor, no medicine in this world can help you. It has always been like that. She bent her head and wept quietly. Nkiru reached out and touched her gently. It's not your fault, Agatha. It's your blood that calls you back. If you are ready, I will take you there tomorrow morning. Agatha lifted her eyes slowly, filled with both fear and strange spark of hope. She nodded weakly. I will go, Mama. I will go. The next morning, Nkiru led Agatha down a narrow forest path that smelled of damp leaves and secrets. At the end of the trail stood a small shrine, built beside a quiet waterfall. The air felt heavy, as though time itself washed them. A very old man came out slowly from the hut. His eyes were calm, his smile strange. I know why you are here, he said softly. The blood always returns. He looked at Agatha, then pointed toward the foam. Go under it, let it wash you. Agatha obeyed. The water was cold. She stood beneath it, trembling, crying. Her tears mixed with the stream. Something moved through her chest, like a whisper and a weight leaving at once. She felt dizzy, weak, then fell to her knees in the water. When she came out, the old man gave her a small red bead. Go home, he said. Say nothing. Tell no one what happened there. And when your child comes, let the child's feet never touch the earth in any shoe that isn't red. If the rule is broken, the covenant breaks, and the child will be taken. Agatha nodded silently, fear closing her throat. 3 months later, she missed her flame. Then came the kicking, the joy, the hidden smile in the mirror. She told no one, not even Dozie, her husband. But soon, her belly spoke for her. The husband rejoiced. The town celebrated. On the 9th month, under the silent moon, Agatha gave birth to a baby girl. Beautiful, calm, quiet. She called her Ozioma. Agatha bought red baby shoes and kept them beside the bed. Every time Ozioma grew, she bought new red shoes. Only red, always red. When Ozioma started school, the teachers frowned. Madam, we don't allow red shoes here. Only black or brown. Agatha pleaded. They refused. She moved her child to another school, then another, and another. Everywhere, the same rejection. Children mocked Ozioma. Why always wear shoes? Are you cursed? They whispered. Women gossiped that she must be a spiritual special need child. In the midst of all of it, Agatha and Dozie paid zero attention. She only heard her daughter tighter each night, watching the red shoes by the door, knowing what breaking the rule could mean. Ozioma finally found a school that allowed her red shoes, but peace never came with acceptance. Each day, laughter followed her like a shadow. When she slept in class, the other children quietly slipped off her shoes and hid them. Then they pretend to offer her black ones, saying her red pay was gone. Ozioma would cry, refused to wear them, and only then would they bring out her red shoes, laughing until their stomach hurt. One evening, she returned home in tears. Mama, she said softly, let me wear pink, just once, at least pink. I am tired. No, my daughter, only red. Ozioma, promise me, only red. Even in my absence, let it be red. Ozioma nodded. Years passed. The little girl became a woman. She gained admission to study law, her dream. But on her first day, in her white shirt, black skirt, and red shoes, the entire class turned and stared. Laughter echoed. Even the lecturer paused. Miss, he said with a frown, this is not a fashion parade. I will not welcome that. Her face burned. The sound of laughter filled her ears long after the class had ended. That night, she packed her books and never went back. She joined her mother in the clothing business. What began as a small shop grew into a large boutique. Fabrics, shoes, jewelries, everything. But the red shoes still on her feet. 4 years later, Agatha died. Ozioma took full control of the business. What was once a modern boutique became the pride of the town. Cars lined up outside her shop. Women from different cities came to buy from her. Celebrities sent their scarves to her doorstep. She had everything, wealth, fame, and grace. Yet, her heart remained quiet, like someone carrying a secret that the world could never understand. No man, no relationship. For each time they came, they walked away because she wouldn't explain why always wear shoes on her feet. One sunny afternoon, Uzoma called her senior staff, Chinyere, and handed her a roll of fabric. Keep this in my office, she said softly. Inside that office stood a collection of shoes, neat rows of elegant shiny red shoes, in different shapes and brands. Chinyere entered, but curiosity led her astray. She admired the shoes, their shape, their brands, and one by one, she began to try them on. When she slipped her feet into the red pay, Ozioma happened to walk by the open door. She froze. In the mirror, it wasn't Chinyere's face that looked back. It was her own. Her breath caught. A strange chill crept down her spine. She gasped and turned away, trembling. Chinyere, unaware, came out smiling, humming softly as she closed the door. The next day, she didn't come to work. 2 days passed, and by the 3rd day, the news reached Ozioma. Chinyere was dead. She did not wake up from her sleep. She died with heavy swollen legs. That night, Ozioma dreamt she stood in a room full of shoes. Gold, black, blue, every color on her feet, and across her stood Chinyere, wearing red, holding and gathering so many red shoes. When she woke up, her body was covered in sweat. After a month, one morning, she tried wearing a black shoes, her hands trembling. To her shock, she felt nothing, no pain, no weakness. Unlike before, she stood still for a while, waiting for something to happen. So she wore them and walked into her office. The only thing that followed her was silence, then whispers, soft murmurs. For the first time in her life, her feet touched the earth in peace. Yet, each time she passed Chinyere's small office and saw the empty seat, Uzima felt the weight of what had been exchanged, a life for a freedom she never asked for. And though she no longer wore red, she never stopped dreaming in that color. Mocking another person's pain may not hurt you today, but its echoes can find its way through generations. When we seek help in wrong places, we bind tomorrow with our own hands, and curiosity can open doors meant to stay shut. Dearest viewers, thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful African facts. Till then, bye.